Welcome to the Kahler Podcast, episode 13. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Killer and how it influenced the new Steeler Professional. But first, viewer comments. How you doing, Gary?
I'm doing good.
Sniffer Custom says the Kahler 2300 is all around the best tremolo out there, in my humble opinion. Best quality, easy to route and install, simple to customize or upgrade to fit your guitar needs, rock solid tuning, and awesome company to order from. Buy once, cry once. Order direct from Kahler is the way to go. They are great. Do you ever hear that phrase, Gary? Buy once, cry once?
I don't know. Maybe I have.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Basically, what it means is that, yeah, it's expensive, but it's going to be super dependable. So you buy it and you cry over the price when you buy it, and then you never worry about it again.
Well, we don't want people crying. We want them to be happy.
I can see somebody crying, oh, this costs so much more than a $20 Amazon Fulcrum knockoff. But
if those people want to buy $20 Amazons, a piece of shit out there, then go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Okay. You're going to keep on replacing it, though, but you buy ours once, and really, that's about it. Scott C. says, another fun one, guys. I don't think I commented on the adjustment of the Kahler bridges. I think they're not complicated, but to me has more precision in the adjustments. Do any U.S. manufacturers still employ Kahler to make parts for them? Obviously, don't break NDAs, no names, but it would be interesting to find out if there are any. Yes, we do make parts for people out there that are OEMs, not necessarily the Kahler stuff, but our machine shop does. And
well, we have a machine shop. Yeah. We've made parts for just about all the OEMs at one time or another. And, that includes Gibson, Fender, all the rest of the people. Parts that they use in other bridges. And that's basically it.
And we can't tell you who any of them are because they get really upset.
Well, I don't know if they'd get upset or not, but we'll just be safe because I loathe attorneys. I hate the sons of bitches. Okay?
I don't blame you. HOLOCULT says, when you say killer bodies, do you mean the frame? If I get a killer frame, can Gary help me get the parts to build it? Question about the counterfeit string locks I've seen once you described on All Parts website, or at least on eBay. Are they counterfeits? Are there companies that can make the Kahler-style string locks without it being a fraud?
Understand that when we say it's a counterfeit, it's got to be an exact piece. And so a lot of these people manage to change something here and there and make it. But I want to be really clear. There's OEMs that are using our string locks, and particularly All Parts. They buy the string locks from us that they call Kahler string locks, and so that's good, and we appreciate that business. And then there's other OEMs that buy our string lock as well.
Really, all you got to do is just use metric parts, and then it's not exactly counterfeit because we don't use metric. Metal Cobb 5150 said, had the same bike, Montgomery Ward copy. It was a Spiral, yellow with blue tires. Such a disappointment for 12-year-old me, LOL. I can't believe the amount of BMX comments we've been getting, but I do feel compelled to say this. When I was 10 years old, I wanted to race BMX so bad, and I would get up early and I would train on this thing. We had a little track that was very, very close, and I did my first race. I came in third, completely mangled the bike by the end of the thing because a Huffy and a copy of a Huffy, they're not built the same.
Well, the only reason, I don't know, that you came in third is you didn't have a tremolo bar attached to it.
Well, we talked about that last time. We need to put a tremolo.
Well, why didn't you put a tremolo bar on it?
Well, I was 10. I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I did not know. But
damn.
The important thing is that every time there was a jump, and every time I went over this jump during this race, it would bend, like the bike would bend a little bit more.
Well, I know all about that. We talked about it last time. My son raced BMX, and he's really good at it.
The big thing here, though, for me, is that, you took your son to do all these races, had a motorhome, all this stuff. At the end, when I went to get my third place trophy from the pro that put the race on, he told me that if my bike would have held up, I probably would have won. And then he said that he liked my hustle and he wanted to help me. So I went back all excited to tell my father, and he didn't hear one word.
It wasn't engineered for that, however.
It wasn't, and it bent. He looked at the bent up bike.
Yep.
And he said, well, this is why you don't have nice things. No more bikes for you. Yep. This is the cool thing, though, is that the fact that I did not get any support with my dreams of racing BMX when I was 10 completely and totally fueled my desire to get my own stuff. I could have been your
daddy, for God's sakes. I'd have supported you.
That would have been nice. It would have been nice to have anybody fucking support me at all. No more bike stuff from here on out. Ramirez. Wow. Okay, I'm not even going to try. You know what? Good morning, Mr. Gary Kahler and Eddie. The podcast has slowly been rising to the top of my list. I've been listening since the first episode a couple months ago. I love the approach, not only of going sales direct-wise, but also communication-wise. The podcast is retreading and also rewriting guitar history, telling what actually happened and went back in the day. I do have a question about the cam springs for when I get one. Do the heavier tension springs come with the tremolo when you buy them, or are they extra accessories like the heavy arm and the lever? Greetings from Argentina.
Let me answer that. Yeah. Yes, if you order them, you can order them with heavy springs. And now that heavy arm, I think it costs a few bucks more than the regular arm. If you want a 1/4-inch arm with a 1032 threads on it, yes, that does cost a few bucks more. I can't remember how much. Just all you got to do is say you want heavy springs, and we'll put them on there at no extra charge.
If it's a 2000 series, if it's a hybrid, hybrids are what hybrids are.
They are. They only come with a 3/16 arm with 1032 thread.
It'll still fit and everything, but the reason that the hybrid is $100 cheaper is because we pre-build them. They're not made to order the way that the professionals are.
And make them 1,000 at a time. That's a difference.
Yeah.
These other ones we make maybe 5 at a time, and 10 price really goes up because what we're trying to do is custom stuff and do the best job we can, and then service it.
Mercutio UK 2006 says, confirmed Dario user since about 1987. I hate admitting my age, and I've always been happy with them. Even happier that I can keep using them with a plum when I finally grab a Kahler. Thanks again, and hats off to Gary for taking matters into his own hands in Germany. I can't imagine how frustrating that situation would be.
You could easily spend 10 years thinking about something and another 3 or 4 trying to figure out how to do it. And then when you finally do it, you finally get family money to get it because nobody else is going to finance your butt. And then you go there and you see it all counterfeited, and, you wonder if your life's coming to an end because, my God, I got to go back and face my in-laws and tell them, hey, I just lost your money, buddy. What do you think of that? Hopefully I'll still be married to your daughter or whatever. But, it's risky business. It's risky. A lot of people out there, I think, well, these people that get ahead in life just had a lot of money to start out with. Well, I didn't have shit. So the fact is, none of us did there. I mean, to my knowledge, at least, it was Grover Jackson, Bernie Rico, all these, Wayne Charvel. I mean, we're all in kind of the same pot, and we all got along. It was really great, the camaraderie. And it was week to week. I mean, I'd make a bridge, and they'd have to bring the money to pick them up because I needed the money to make next week and make payroll and the rest of it. It was a tough way to go. And then when you see all these counterfeits, you just wonder, what the hell is going on? I mean, I'm from a farm in Nebraska, and I never saw that kind of shit before. A little hard to go out there and counterfeit a farm. You can't do that.
Yeah, there's a phrase that's been going around for the last couple years, and it's like you chose violence that day. I could totally see it. I've done similar things where I was so frustrated, I just picked something up and broke it. And it was like, oh, you feel like a big man? Not necessarily a big man, but I do feel better.
It has nothing to do with trying to impress anybody about about whatever your silverback tendencies might be. But it has to do with you're so disappointed and you just really feel bad, not for yourself, but for other people that really trusted you.
And I just have to say, you know what? Bonus points for using a plum.
Oh, he also comments about his age. Well,
Yeah.
I'm 86 here in a few days, so you can't be that far away from me. Or maybe you are. Maybe you started playing when you were 6 years old. I don't know.
Maybe he's closer to me, you know, 54.
Well, good for him, man. Good for him.
Well, yeah, good for him too, because you know what? He figured out the Diodarios were great about, it looks like about 5 years before I did.
And that's when you were 3 years old, right?
Right? 23.
Oh, okay. Well, I almost got it right.
Yeah, you're only 20 years off. Scott C. Eddie, I think a video also about in the Steeler series about what exactly is a direct swap with the Floyd. Will the posts work, and also will the locking nut be a direct swap would be good. Basically, replace my Floyd Rose special with a Steeler video. That is a great idea. And actually, you know what? I did just replace Floyd Rose special with a Steeler professional, but it was top secret, and I was not allowed to shoot it for reasons that are so secret I can't even tell you. But I do have a guitar that I can do that with, and that's a great idea because, you know what, in order for the Steeler to work properly, you must use the posts that come with the Steeler. Yeah. Every single bevel is different, all of them, for everybody. And these people who just think, oh, well, I'll just leave the studs in, even if they think, oh, this thing's functioning perfectly, it's not.
You need our studs to go with our stuff because it is cut different. I got to say, look, everybody can sell what they want to sell, and we got respect for what the Floyd Rose people do. But we also make that type of bridge. And our cut on the plate is just a little different, therefore requires a different V cut in a stud. And we also make a metric stud.
Let me make mention of this metric stud. This is just kind of what we do here. So I put a Steeler Professional on a Ibanez S to take pictures of it for the website so that everybody could go like, ooh, look at that pretty bridge on that pretty guitar. And then I tried the thing out, and good golly, did it not work at all. Would not go back to zero, nothing like that. So I went through all these different studs, and for the Ibanez Edge, they use an M8 1.25. It is the kind of thing where our bushings wouldn't fit, nothing would fit. So after trying to figure out absolutely any other way that wouldn't cost so much money, we finally said, you know what, we have to make our studs with this thread. What this will fit is it will fit the Ibanez Edge bushings and the Goto 1996 T bushings. It will not fit a Floyd Rose. It's too big. And that's the main reason we did it. You can pull the bushings from a Floyd Rose, insert our bushings, and then you can use our studs.
Yep.
And that's pretty much anything other than the Ibanez great, big, huge studs. Anything other than that, pull the bushing. And yes, you're right. I'll make a video because it can sound very intimidating to, I got to pull that bushing. It's actually very simple. There's a trick to it. If you try to do it any number of ways other than the easy trick way, there's a good chance
you know,
you're going to
I got to tell you, it's really nice to have an in-house genius explain how to do this shit.
Super genius.
Now, you see, you know about the guitars and doing that. Frankly, I don't know. I know enough about guitars to do what I do, but not about being a luthier type of guy. So, listen, Eddie. I don't know. How many guitars you got hanging in this room?
Jeez, I don't know. 100 and
150?
Yeah. Nah, I don't know. I think that it's closer to 120, maybe.
120, maybe. Well, I got a few in here too.
You got a few in here too. Yeah, I think that all of them behind you, except for one, are yours, and then let's see. Yeah, and then everything else you can see on camera here is mine.
Yeah, I did. Now, what Eddie doesn't know is that if he doesn't do good as the in-house genius, then we just keep all his
super
guitars.
Genius.
We're going to keep his guitars. Yeah, we'll make real friends doing that. Anyway, that's the story on those studs.
You're right. That's a great topic, and I'm doing everything I can to catch up. Okay, Aaron Walker, 5990 says, great cast so far. You guys are building a strong community. The entire point here, at least my motivation here, is to let you guys know that when you buy your Kahler, that's not the end of it. You know, your service keeps going. And I'm actually working on something right now. I don't quite know how Discord works, but it looks like it might be the ultimate customer service tool. Oh. So I'm looking into that, and it might be a thing here in the very near future to where we can actually video conference and save that file so that other people can learn from the problem that somebody's having. They can reach out, we can set something up, and then I can diagnose their problem, help them out right there in real time.
I just like to say this whole thing's a work in process. I've never done this before, so I hope the hell I know what we're doing here. What we're trying to do is do exactly what Eddie's just said there. Yeah. We are really trying to make that, and it takes time and money to get it done.
Boy, does it ever.
Yep.
And that right there was the last comment. So now we are going to talk about the Killer, the various things about it that make it such a unique bridge, maybe dispel a few myths, a few other things like that. First off, Gary, super advanced bridge, won an award, all kinds of other stuff.
It didn't just win an award, it won a national award. They got the national prize. Compacts is the name of the organization, and a man by the name of Johnson. I can just tell you, a wonderful person. He's a doctor of metallurgy. Anyway, I was very lucky to be able to work with them and had just one hell of an education about sintered metal and how it all works. The benefits with sintered metal are simply that if you're going to use steel, then you can infiltrate them or impregnate that steel with whatever you want. Like in my case, we impregnated it with copper. And so copper and steel, if you notice, that bridge is heavier than hell because it has a lot of copper in it. And also, we come up with a new technology on how to attach the block to the plate because I wanted it as one piece. In the very beginning, we had trouble with that on that attachment, but then we fixed it. But the intelligence that we learned as music people about that then went forward and evolved into the Steeler process.
What was the motivation? Because the Killer and the Spyder sometimes get confused as the same bridge. They're very different.
No, they're very different. First of all, I wanted to have a bridge, a block, and a plate that was 100% a steel with no Zamex 7, nothing. It was all steel. Steel is a better communicator than what zinc is. But zinc is much more inexpensive. The original dies, the injection dies, cost a hell of a lot of money. But once you got them, it's like making pancakes. I mean, it's one after another, and it's very efficient. The next most efficient to that would have to be sintered metal. And so then we go to sintered metal. Now, sintered metal does have its limitations. That's why we finally come up with MIM, which is metal injection molding. Now, metal injection molding is actually, you can inject stainless steel, carbon steel, whatever you want. And this was a new process, not really new, but come around about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever that was. And today it's a hell of a lot more perfected than it was then. Much of that MIM process is in dentistry. They use a lot of that for braces and steel and then airplane parts. I mean, people that really make a lot of money.
Well, let's talk about just exactly what sintered metal is and what the process is, because, you know, I think that a lot of people hear it and they just go like, huh? Now, I mean, it starts as a powder.
First of all, you mix the powder however you want it. In other words, to start out with. How much steel? What do you want to do? I don't profess to be a genius on the sintered metal. I only know what I've found out as far as my part is concerned. This is a very sophisticated method. So all you people that are geniuses out there, believe me, you'll probably know more than I do. But I took the risk of using it,
right,
and paid for it, and it was very expensive. But I thought we would get a sound off of that would just be really great. So I would come out and have one that was formed in essence out of steel, where the block and the plate was sintered metal, and then the bridge and all the parts that went into the saddle set would be metal injection molding and the MIM process. Well, my God, that bridge cost more money than what I could sell it for. But I went ahead and lost a bunch of money on it. I was an idiot for doing it. But on the other hand, I wanted to experiment and see, and it's got a hell of a sound. It really does. So now how do we go forward and make a bridge that is saleable in price points at least that maybe are only 20 or 30% more than your average fairly good bridge. And that's what we did in the Steelers.
Okay, so let's just kind of walk through the process of the whole sintered metal thing, how it works and everything, because I think that a lot of people out there have no idea what it is. Why don't you show us what's going on?
Well, first of all, it's very sophisticated, and the steps. And all I can do is kind of show you the basic steps. First of all, there's a mixing of the powder, so you got to know exactly what metal you want, and a metallurgist know exactly what that is. And there's certain binders and things that are put into that. And they put this metal, believe it or not, into a, I don't know, could be a 10-ton punch or whatever.
Yeah.
And they produce what is called a green piece.
Okay.
And this green piece, believe it or not, is about 25% bigger than the actual piece that's going to go through the sintering oven coming out. So this ends up being a green piece. And by the way, when we did the Floyd Rose Pros, it was done in the same manner. So the Floyd Rose Pros that look like this,
right?
They started out with a green piece. Then it goes from that in a green piece, which is a bit fragile because you can take your finger and hit it and break it, believe it or not. So, but it's all together. Then it goes into a sintering furnace. Now, this sintering furnace could be about 20 feet long, 25 foot long. And within that furnace, it goes through different heats, all the way up to 2,000 plus.
Like on a conveyor belt?
Yeah, it's on absolutely.
Just like cooking a pizza.
Oh, it is. And that's the way it is. Now, all along there's different degrees that are set up. So who's ever running that has got to know exactly what the metal is, what its flash point is, and all that. When it gets past that flash point, then if you want to infiltrate it, and some people call impregnate it with something, then you put a predetermined amount of copper, like a small, you got the size of maybe a quarter, maybe a little thicker, put it right in the middle, and you put it goes about the time it hits close to 2,000, it will literally just disappear. Wow, what happened to it? This is all the same temperature, so what it does is sucks it all up into the nooks and crannies, and now it's copper infiltrated. It makes it a lot heavier, and I think it has better sound quality. Then it has to go into milling and machining and cut the edges and make sure that these IDs are cut. In other words, the holes for the saddles and the slots are all there. It's amazing to me how they can make this green piece 20 to 25% bigger, and then when it goes through the oven, it shrinks down to absolutely the correct piece, and it comes within 1/2000th of being correct.
Now that right there really I find interesting too, because I've known for a while now that you made the Floyd Rose Pro, but I didn't realize that the plate was sintered metal.
It was. It's the same as a Killer. I like Floyd and what he did. I damn well didn't like being in court all the time with him. But the fact is, we're all in the same industry.
Yeah.
And I think he liked that, what it sounded like. So I said, well, fine, we'll center that plate rather than machine it. We did.
Yeah, it's really too bad that the Pro came about towards the end of Kramer, because it would have been really interesting to see what would have happened had things have gone differently. But we're going to have to do an entire thing on the Pro, because it's just such a unique bridge.
Well, it's a very unique bridge. We don't sell it, you know, but we damn well created the process for it and a big part of the engineering in it.
The Pro that is for sale now, I have one. It's a 1000, so it's Korean, and it's different. In fact, the spacing is not what it used to be and all kinds of other stuff.
Well, it's certainly, I would imagine, made out of something else. It
Probably.
may not be. It could be. I don't know. I don't know the bridge. We'll find one and cut the plate and find out if it's zinc or steel.
Well, you're not going to cut mine. It's brand new.
While you're sleeping and the dogs are doing your dogs, I'll get one and cut it with a hacksaw. I'll find out.
Oh, man. There's something else about the Killer, too, is that it's the only double locking fulcrum that I know of where you can actually change the string spacing.
Okay, so this is the Killer, and we'll turn it over. You can see a rail on the back side here, simply by moving these button heads left and right. You can adjust whatever spacing up here you want. I think it's from about 2.030 to almost 2 inches. Probably about 180 thousandths, 2 inches to 180. And the idea was to make these like each saddle like a bobbin in a sewing machine, so that they would be independent. They'd have everything on them. All you had to do was take that whole little sub-assembly and determine what spacing you wanted. That was easy. Since these were individual saddles, they included the spring, the plunger, lock the string right there at the witness point. As you screw this in, the string went in through the back and locked at the witness point. Even in there's 2 little 440 screws to adjust the radius if you want to do that. Look, it's a little bit tricky to set up. Yeah. But it all operates off this very heavy Sintered steel block. That makes a big difference. And then I took and I milled some of these so we could put 7 saddles in there. Rather than 6.
Actually have one right here.
Oh, I made this one for you.
You sure did.
Yeah. And the other really big deal here is that it has the slots in the front rather than a knife. And, of course, the knife is on the stud. Yeah. So the idea is that we'd harden the knife on the bolt, and then you'd have 4 different sharpness, because one turn just doesn't make that much difference. It cost over $200 to make this piece. Yeah. So people in that point in time said, well, are you nuts?
A little bit.
In 1988, I remember I just said, hey, we can't do this. Nobody's buying them. I give a damn how good they are. And I was selling them at my cost, making no money, but I was getting off on the idea that we'd done something nobody else had done at that point in time. This whole process won an international prize on centering, and this bridge is on the front page of an international organization. We ought to get that and show it sometime.
Oh yeah, I'll insert a slide right here of that.
Yeah, it was that's a centering industry that actually put it on their front page of an international association.
I'll tell you what, it's so funny. You said 1988 was when you decided that you couldn't do it anymore. 1988 was the first senior year of high school that I had. There was a T-shirt with a picture of Kelly Bundy back around this time that said "Senior Year, the best 2 years of my life," and I actually did. I did 1.5 senior years of high school because I was a little fond of extracurricular activities that did
like
not go
smoking dope and shit, or what?
I don't know what you mean. I thought pure thoughts and read the Bible. That's what I'd like to do.
Well, whatever went on. all I can tell you at that time, this is what was going on with Kahler. Now, I know some people want to know what's the difference between the Killer and the Spyder.
That's a single locking Spyder right there. There's a Spyder, proper Spyder right there.
The Spyder, the biggest difference here is that this whole block and everything is Zamex 7. So rather than being steel. Nobody wants steel because nobody wants to buy it. I mean, it's too expensive in this kind of configuration. They wanted strong fatness. They wanted strength and all of that. Looking that way, they wanted features and benefits and a proof that doing everything with a saddle to intonate it. The hard-ass springs, you can see, does not come up the back.
Yep.
The spring is located inside the saddle here. So it doesn't have that big-ass spring in the back. It has fine-tuning, has all that, all the rest of that. But the big thing is the main plate and frame, or whatever you want to call it, is all zinc.
Right.
Here the main frame is all steel. And the difference in cost between this frame and this frame is about almost 4 times. I thought they would sell better. I would raise the price, take a shorter margin on it, and so forth. But the fact was, they're just too damn expensive. And I would like to thank Hartley Peavy, by the way, for buying a lot of these and good American manufacturer. And I love Hartley for that, because I remember at that time I needed business, and he was great help.
Mike Powers, too, right?
Oh, Mike Powers, absolutely. Mike Powers, it's bless his soul, man. Thank you, Mike. He passed away in China quite a few years ago. What a good man. Mike was a great guy, and Hartley is too. We put a slot in here for the
Auto-Latch?
For the Auto-Latch, and then only to find out I couldn't use the Auto-Latch because some jerk had a drawing.
Never even built the thing.
No, never built anything. Didn't have a sample, had nothing. He just wanted too much for it, so I discontinued the Auto-Latch. And I just like to say a thank you to Anderson Guitars, because they did a lot for me back then. And thank you very much to the whole company. We're
going to have to reach out to Tom Anderson and make sure he knows that the Auto-Latch is available again.
Yeah, we will. We will. I mean, what a wonderful company. I mean, nice people.
Amazing guitars, too.
Oh, yeah, great guitars.
I mean, really, really good.
It broke my heart that I just couldn't do it, but I simply couldn't make a deal that made any sense. So we didn't do it.
Out of sheer curiosity, I've never asked you this question before. It's never dawned on me. When you had the slot back there, was the Auto-Latch fully complete, or were you still developing it? And did you put the slot back there saying, well, we know we're going to need this, but we haven't quite perfected the Auto-Latch yet?
Well, we hadn't quite perfected it, although because I applied for patents on it. We couldn't get the patents because of whatever. Today, we've changed it. We've improved it. We've done a number of things to it.
Yeah.
And I believe it is patentable. Yeah, we put the slots in there because that was the idea. Have the best of the best of the best, put an Auto-Latch on here so that you could do all your gymnastics, up and down, and stretch the hell out of those strings, make spaghetti out of them, whatever. Put your bar down, and you're all locked up.
Yep.
And since you overstretch the strings, well, you've got a couple of bars in there. You can adjust the absolute fine-tuning with the best harmonics. So when you're getting to maybe 16 bars of wonderfulness, who the hell knows? And we're selling all of these off that we got.
Yeah, the Spyders.
That'll be the end of that. And we've already sold 99.9% of these. For all the people that have them out there, and there's thousands of them out there, this is kind of a service podcast for you.
It really is. And then, you know what? Let's you picked up that single locking Spyder that had the killer fingers on it.
So what we're trying to do here is in the tooling, you can see this piece is going up and down right there.
Yeah.
Well, that piece is this piece right here.
Yes.
So we wanted to come out with an inexpensive version of this. So, and you could not lock the string.
No, it's single locking.
Put it in the back, run it over the top. You got fine tuning, but you can't lock the string. Here, you can lock the string right there. All we did was eliminate the plunger as such.
Yeah, this plunger is crazy, too. It looks like a hypodermic needle.
Well, that was done by MIM, and boy, was that ever a problem. See, I even have trouble getting it out of here right now.
Yeah, well...
there we go.
There it is.
The string goes all the way through.
Yep.
And then it locks on this point. This is a MIM part, a metal injection molding part. And the big thing, too, we had problem with was that the people that did this could not keep this straight.
Yeah.
And as a result, it would hang up from time to time in the OD of this part.
Yeah.
And that was a real big problem. Then, if you notice, these little washers are compressed on the end of here, which then made this all one part. And then we had a special tool to put them together there. So this part right here in the middle is this part here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing, just no locking. So that was the idea. Well, I wanted a price in the middle. Now, what I thought maybe, if I could just sell one or two of those, then I could go hang up in Hawaii and the hell with it.
As you're putting that MIM piece back in there, this is something that, if I hear anybody suggest 3D printers for making a killer again, my God. It's just... the MIM process is probably the most accurate way to do that. That's financially realistic, would you say? You couldn't machine that for the same amount of money, right?
Well, you can't. There's things here you can't mill.
Right.
Because it has IDs in it. You can't drill a hole straight enough to go that far. So it's got to be in a hard tool. And I might say that the MIM process is not a new process to everybody.
No.
There's Floyd Rose people who make Floyd are familiar with the MIM process.
Yeah.
And we see it all the time. But this is how we use it, is what I'm trying to say.
You know what? That kind of brings us to modern day. So let's get those out of the way. One thing that I want to point out real quick is that this body laying right here is a Charvel Model 3, which was originally spec'd with the 2500. Now, we've already spoken about the 2500, and we're not going to do that again. But if you have one of these really cool Charvel Model 3s that came with the 2500, you can find yourself a killer, and it'll just drop right in, and you will have something that's really amazing. And this is a great bridge. I absolutely love it, but the new Steeler Professional is better. So if you're somebody who is lamenting the fact that you cannot get a killer new from us anymore, unless you really want one and you want to have Gary go dig through the bins of the carousel, and I can't believe you said you do that, but you did, get yourself a Steeler Pro, because it will be less money than getting a new old stock killer, and it's better. So, let's talk a little bit about some of the shared tech with the Steeler, because everything on there is either MIM 303 stainless, 360 half hard brass, Rockwell hardened steel plate, Zamic frame for the transmission of the Auto-Latch, and that's the only Zamic part, right?
Everything we learned through that whole process with Sintered metal and MIM process is incorporated here.
Right.
Now, if we couldn't afford those heavy blocks being centered and all of that and so forth, then what could we do? This plate is one piece of metal that already has its radius on, and the plate itself is made out of 1030 steel and then hardened to a Rockwell hardness to give it a ring off.
Right.
Now, before we do that, of course, we got to cut the knives, and we've got to drill any holes that have to be done, and so on and so forth. That's one of the reasons why we have this fastener that that fastens this intonator. That's a left-handed screw that you can open up from the top in a right-handed manner. And we don't have to drill 3 holes here.
No.
Because that's crazy. When you're dealing with a hardened piece, you can't do that. It all has to be done ahead of time. Now you'd have 6 holes there that you're hardened by. And when you use hardening, the flakes get in those holes and you can't clean them. You got scrap. They're just simply scrap. You throw them away. So these had to be slots for that reason. And a left-handed screw. But now you don't have to concentrate on the 3 holes and what those positions are.
Yeah.
You can put it anywhere you want. Okay, so that takes care of the plate. Next, we go to the intonator. Now, the intonator is that piece right here that moves with a stainless steel screw, lock screw, that works into this this channel. So that is 100% milled in our machine shop. Very expensive to mill. That's stainless steel, but we still have them in chrome and bright chrome, black chrome, and gold. So then that fastens into a very sophisticated part here where the ball comes in the back, goes over the top and down. This is a MIM part.
Yeah.
Now, this MIM part is really important because it has an ID or an interior design, which is so important. One day we'll have to just do a demonstration on what that means.
Yeah.
But anyway, what we do here, we simply put the screen through there, through the MIM part, unloosen this screw right here. This will pop up, and this is also a MIM part, this little part here. This screw comes down on top of it, so it does not cut the string. And in doing that, you don't have to cut the balls off. You got the Diodario's nice color back here.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got fine tuning and you got the locking nut and you take it on from there. But those are the different metals and different processes. Many, many different processes going on here.
Well, don't forget the block. There is 360 half hard brass.
That's right. Then you can't confuse it with a flat brass, meaning sheet brass. This is bar brass. And, of course, this one here is equipped with an Auto-Latch.
Yep.
And
that's a Zamek 7 piece.
Different. Yeah, that is. But that's 360. So you got all these different processes going on here. And they're all made here in the United States. It's a hell of a bridge. And this is what has evolved out of everything else that you see here. And I think this is the point for this podcast, right?
It really is.
That we've taken all the technology we know and we've put it into this piece and its brothers and sisters in the 20 in that particular line.
Now, we've got the Pro and we've got the traditional, and I like the traditional because it has a very Floyd Rose quality to it, and I love the Floyd Rose. Always have.
You love the Floyd Rose.
I do love the Floyd Rose.
Jesus,
I really do. It's about my 4th favorite bridge. Now, and that's
see, I got a spy inside.
Well, no, it actually is. It's my 4th favorite bridge. Number 3 would be the Ibanez Edge. Number 2 would be the Godo 1996. And number 1 is the Steeler Professional. Yeah. We need to do a slight redesign on those fine tuners because there's so much more throw. Those are traditional size tuners, and you've never needed anything with more threads. But with this, you really do, because we have so much travel on that thing that by the time it's all bottomed out, you've only done about half the travel,
Yeah, I think you've done about a third of the travel.
The block options for this thing. Now, there's the standard block that came on it back in the day. Then the blunt fatty, which is the giant rectangle of brass that really kind of eliminates almost all your travel, but it's a big, huge chunk of brass if people want it.
We got about another 100 of those to sell, so don't...
They're fantastic, everybody.
They're fantastic.
You can't do better.
Buy them. Just buy them.
You can't do better unless you get a Godiva.
Yeah, then we go to Godiva.
Oh, my God.
That's our newest way to do that.
I got to tell you, there's... man, between the Godiva and the Auto-Latch, I don't know which one I like better. the Auto-Latch, being able to turn your whammy bar into a fixed bridge just by pointing the bar at the ground is so amazing. Man, it was an answer to something that I didn't even know I had an issue with.
Yep.
Because
you don't have any issues. You're perfect?
I got plenty of issues.
I'll be damned.
Although now remember though, super genius.
Oh,
but
wonderful.
The thing is that with the Godiva, the way that the Godiva is designed, it actually gives you more travel than just about anything else because of the special contours that we did. Plus, it's still milled out of a giant hunk of brass.
Well, let me add something to that. You have a lot to do with that because I know when you first got here, you said, "What are you doing with that square block?" I said, "Well, it gives you more of this." And since Eddie here's a guitar luthier, but look what it does a guitar. Well, I said, "Why don't you just route the damn thing out there?"
Yeah.
That's what everybody else does. But Eddie says, "No, we don't want to route it out. What we're going to do is make a Godiva block." Because we call it that because it's shapely.
Yes.
Like a woman.
It looks like the profile of a female.
Yep, it does, and it dives, man.
It does. It go dive.
And I'd like to say the person I came up with that was John McLaren. He thought that a junior.
Yeah.
He thought, but it dives. Yeah, it does.
This is the part that Gary was talking about. With that giant brass block, when you put it in here, you severely limit your travel. Now, me personally, I don't like them. I think that if you're going to limit your travel that much, fixed bridge, don't worry about it. Just be done. But there are those who disagree, and I respect their opinion. So, you know what? If the world only made what I like, what a boring place this would be.
Yeah, what a lousy salesman you are, man.
I am terrible. But the Godiva, which we sat in my dining room and actually took out a Sharpie and
took a fat blotty and worked it over.
Yeah, we took a blunt fatty and a Sharpie, and I said, "Here, take away this material here and here, and now you can dive and pull up on the Godiva way more than you can any other bridge." Now, the Ibanez Edge is the one that always had the most travel, in my opinion.
Yeah, we don't sell Ibanez either.
We do not, but the Godiva actually has more travel than the Edge, and that's why I'm putting one on a 540S to show that it's like, well, you get this thing, and it's all steel and all these other great things, plus it's got more travel.
Now, just let me add a couple things. Number one is the reason Eddie's here is because I'd made a decision. Maybe if you're egotistical enough, you just want to be an island upon yourself. The fact is, we can't be in this business.
No.
It's a small business, and let us all work together to promote American manufacturing as much as we can and stay with what we're doing. In order to do that, we really do have to acknowledge everybody else's work.
Absolutely.
So we got to acknowledge what Goto's done, good work, what other countries have done and so forth, and what their end product was, and why so many OEMs use offshore stuff. Generally, that comes to price, and it's only really is price. Is it as good? Well, I don't happen to think so. You might find it very unusual because we are here to sell Kahler stuff. That's what pays for these podcasts. That's what pays us all here, so we can eat and have shelter and keep the bad people away.
Yep.
So
feed the dogs.
Yeah, and feed the dogs. That's right. Those damn dogs. I forgot about the dogs. I've decided that I wanted Eddie here because he's very, very knowledgeable about all this stuff and was doing this long before he came here. So I knew what I was getting into here. I didn't know he was such...
So he thought.
Such an aggressive personality. But on the other hand, and he doesn't need to sell their stuff. All you need to do is to show it and compare it. But that's okay, too, because all you guys out there know about it anyway. And we'll educate you more on it.
And you know what? There is another thing, too, that I cannot even begin to tell you how many times, several times a day, I will take something in that we've worked really hard on and say, wow, this is almost perfect. And then it'll be like, oh, geez, what's wrong with it now? And then I can hold the guitar in front of Gary and go like, you see this right here? And he'll go, give it to me. And he'll go back out to the mill or something. And he'll go like, okay, try it now. And we do that relentlessly, but we do that so that by the time it gets to you, it is as hassle-free and as dependable as it can possibly be. We R&D so much, and we have something that I personally believe is going to revolutionize the way that people play the guitar. It's coming. It's coming.
But we want this piece to be absolutely as perfect as we can get it at a point in time. Now, we've delayed this now for a couple of months, actually.
Yeah.
Because either Eddie or I or somebody else, some of our trusted people here, say, well, why don't we do this on this feature? You know?
Yeah.
Well, then you got to change the whole damn thing. Generally, when you change one thing, you're interfering with 2 or 3 other things. So
isn't it the truth?
I mean, I can solve the problem that Eddie wants, and I'll go to the mill and I'll do it. But then when he gets it back, so what happened to this? Well, Eddie, you wanted this. You didn't say you didn't want that. So that's all research and development, and it takes a lot of time. And you got to have good people that know the difference. Like in the past, Dave Story, bless his soul, the kindest person, wonderful person, and Dave Petchlot. And hats off to Dave as well. I mean, these guys were real serious dudes. Now, this is almost hundreds of years ago, but now I got to put up with Eddie here.
Just the fact that, my name gets mentioned close to the Daves is higher praise than I probably deserve.
This is today, and that was yesterday.
Yeah.
And so we got to go forward with what we can do. And I think... I know this word inclusion, where you include everybody.
Yes,
I
you want to be inclusive.
Whatever. Yeah, inclusive, whatever. Well, believe it or not, we're trying to do that with everybody else's stuff, too.
That is true.
Because a lot of these people I've made parts for. So I know these OEMs, and present we're making parts. So we'll talk about their bridges and stuff.
And not acknowledging that other people make good stuff too is just foolish. There are 2 guitars that I put together with Godot's on them right behind me. They're great. They're almost as good as the Steeler Pro. Almost.
No, you didn't have to say that. You could have said, well, they're almost as good, but they don't come up to it or whatever. Well, they come on Ibanez primarily.
No, they're aftermarket.
Aftermarket.
They are aftermarket.
Well, then we can't talk about it then.
Oh, no, heaven forbid. You know what's really funny, though? You're talking about being all-inclusive and everything. Yeah. As I was setting up this Discord thing that I want to really do I really want to do some like live direct customer service with the people who are really frustrated because they can't figure out what's going on with their bridge. It asked me for my pronouns. Oh. And I don't engage in that, but then I thought, you know what? I'm going to identify as a whammy bar. So I put
that's right, whammy bar.
And it's somebody's going to find that really offensive. Yeah. I'm just trying to make light of what I think is complete and total madness.
The thing that really surprised me is these fur people.
Oh, the furries. Yeah, they're furries, old news. God. They've been around forever.
Yeah, well, anyway, I think we're about ready to close this. I wanted to say one thing.
What do you got?
All this weekend, I've been watching the Olympics.
Yeah.
And Eddie, you and I watched the closing ceremonies.
Well, that was really...
My God, the creativity there. My hands off to them. I mean, parts of it were so weird. I don't know who would think
parts of it that were so weird. That crazy golden. The first thing that I thought I had to show Gary the thing from the movie Year One is Golden Boy slather me with oil.
This guy comes down, from the sky and all that and so forth. I just couldn't stay away from watching it because, my God, there were some committed people there.
Yeah,
I mean, people that. they took their whole life, to do this, and then they actually got a medal. That's kind of what we look forward to in this business, is to achieve something and be able to prove it.
All the late nights and the behind the scenes stuff that nobody's ever going to see, nobody's ever going to know. All those different things. It's really something. And you know what? That's why we do this, for the people who want something that it's like, oh, this other stuff is pretty good, but it just doesn't quite hit the mark. Yeah. That's when it's time to break out the wallet and spend a little more and get a Kahler Steeler Pro.
Well, I wish I could apologize for the price, but I can't. The price is the best we can do, and believe me, we have some of the best accountants I work with, and I work on very short margins. I know you probably don't know that, and maybe you don't believe it, but we put a lot of Americans to work here as many as we can. If you got somebody to work for you 40, 45 years, they never did work for you. They worked with you in the company. Thank God we've got those people. I just wanted to mention the Olympics because it's so much dedication to do that. And I got to tell you, we're really dedicated here to giving you the best we can. And that's the reason you're here, Eddie, to criticize me.
Yeah, I am very expensive.
Yeah, very expensive critic.
Yeah, although I'm not seeing near the money I made as a diver, but you know what? I wake up every day happy.
Wait a minute. If you want to go back to diving and put that
thank you.
That thing on and go out in the parking lot and pretend.
I was actually just thinking the other day about some of the miserable things that I had to do as a diver, and just thought, boy, every day I wake up, I get to play with guitars, and I don't ever want to go back.
And walk your dogs.
Walk the dogs. Get to hang out with the dogs. Dogs sleep at the feet while I'm editing the podcast. All this other stuff. It's a dream come true. But you know what? It's a dream come true because I worked my ass off for it. And you know what? If anybody out there happens to be working on their own personal dream right now, I'm going to tell you this. The only thing that holds you back is what you believe. If you believe you can do it, then do it. Now, that's not blowing sunshine up your ass by saying, like, all you have to do is think positive thoughts, because that's bullshit. You've got to think the positive thoughts, believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And then you work your ass off to make it happen.
And sometimes you're working your ass off to fail. I mean, you really do.
You learn more from failure.
You really believe that you got it, and you did it, like this centering thing. My God, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into it, and now we don't do it anymore, but we learned a lot from it. And if you don't learn from the directions that didn't work out for you, well, then you're damn well out of business.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't do a very good job here of selling stuff, I'm telling you, but we're not hard sale. I mean, I'm not here saying, you got to buy this because we got the best shit in the world. No. We're not saying that. We're in it with a whole lot of other people, and we have some very dedicated people that do support us, by the way.
Yeah, the people who love Kahlers are
they're
really
all over
intense.
The world, from Australia to Japan to right here in Vegas. Wow, I couldn't ask for better support here in Vegas.
Yeah, and if you want to help and you're not quite ready to buy a bridge, share a link. Tell people you should really check out what's going on over here, because if people don't know, they don't know.
They don't know.
All right. Yeah, well, that seems like a good place to stop.
Yeah, I think so.
Until next time, this has been Eddie Kernan.
Yeah, I'm Gary Kahler, and hey, thanks for watching.
See you next week.